We've hinted at episode 3 all throughout this video, and now Part D prescription drug coverage gets our full attention. Part D is voluntary. You do not have to get drug coverage. If you do want it, you need to enroll during specific timelines that actually match the Advantage timelines exactly, with the 7-month initial enrollment period, the special election period for those of you working past 65, and the annual enrollment period to make changes to your Part D plan each year. If you don't use these enrollment periods, you could be subject to a penalty. Like the Part B penalty, the Part D penalty is a lifelong penalty. Unlike the Part B penalty, which was 10% per year you choose not to get it, the Part D penalty is 1% per month that you are not covered by a creditable drug plan. So if you postpone getting a Part D plan when eligible and then decide to get one a year later, that would be 12 months or a 12% penalty. Now we get the question of, do I really need a Part D plan all of the time? And it usually comes with something like, I eat healthy, I exercise, I don't take prescriptions, or I only have very low cost generics. I don't think I need a plan. And that's fine. We have just seen too many instances here where everything is going well for someone and then something outside of their control happens, requiring very expensive medications. If an accident happens, you can only get a Part D plan during that annual enrollment period from October to December. If you need medications before then, you would be responsible for 100% of the cost until January 1st of the next year when your plan would go into effect. So yes, the penalty is there and it is a reason to get a Part D plan, but the bigger reason in our minds is the latter situation where something could go wrong. Cancer happens, an accident happens, and to be responsible for 100% of those medications is a very big risk in our opinion. There are very inexpensive Part D plans out there that are nice for the assurance that if something does go wrong, you have something. But hey, that's what insurance is all about. It's about protecting against risk. Now, my entire career has been spent in health insurance, and how Part D works is one of the most complicated insurance topics that I have ever seen. So to help me explain it, we're going to use a donut. Part D coverage is currently broken down into 4 different phases of coverage that you move throughout the year. The first phase is called the deductible phase. This is where you begin at the start of every year. Most plans have a deductible, not all, but most. The maximum deductible that a plan is allowed to have this year is here. The deductible is the dollar amount that you need to pay before your plan will help at all. Now, many plans have deductible exempt drugs, most commonly the lower cost generics, where you have those covered to some degree before you meet that deductible. Not all plans, but many. And then once you have paid out of your own pocket your plan deductible, you move into the next phase called the initial coverage phase. While in the initial coverage phase, you will have copays and coinsurance costs depending on the medications you take. Once the dollars you have paid in the form of your deductible from the first phase, your copays, your coinsurance, and the amount that your insurance company pays reaches this number, you move into the next phase of Part D coverage called the coverage gap, or commonly referred to as the donut hole. While in the coverage gap, you are responsible for 25% of the retail cost of your medications. This can be a considerable jump in cost for people on expensive medications. To get out of the donut hole, there is this new number to meet, but this number is made up of different dollar figures. It includes the deductible from your Phase 1, your copays and coinsurance amounts from Phase 2. It includes 25% that you paid while in the coverage gap. It does not include the dollars that your insurance company paid during Phase 2 nor Phase 3. So the number is much higher than just subtracting this number from the initial coverage number. Luckily, during the coverage gap phase, the manufacturers of these medications contribute to 70% of the cost, and the federal Medicare program contributes 5%, which is nice and makes it a little bit less intimidating. Once all of those dollars meet your coverage gap number, you move into the last phase of coverage called catastrophic coverage. Now, the catastrophic coverage phase has groundbreaking changes in 2024. You used to have costs in catastrophic coverage, and there was no maximum to your out-of-pocket risk. However, in 2024, and for the first time, you now have a maximum out-of-pocket of sorts for prescriptions. Once you get through the coverage gap, you no longer have cost responsibilities for covered medications. The insurance company, Medicare, and the drug manufacturers are responsible for all of the costs while you are in the catastrophic coverage phase. You stay in the catastrophic coverage phase through December 31st, and then on January 1st, you start over again at the deductible phase. This is set to change again in 2025, but for those watching in 2024, that's how Part D coverage works. In 2025, they are getting rid of the coverage gap or donut hole, and you will have a deductible phase and initial coverage phase, and that's it, with a maximum out-of-pocket of $2,000 for prescriptions. That $2,000 does not include your monthly premiums for those plans. Okay, that wraps up episode 3. You are almost there. We have one more very short episode to complete this Medicare 101 workshop. You are so close to knowing a whole lot more than the vast majority of Americans when it comes to Medicare.